Okay. Nice. What's up, everybody? It's June 28th, episode 6 of the Great Western Podcast. I'm your host, Mark the Wizard Masurlian, longtime Laker fan, basketball enthusiast, and I'm joined by.
I'm David, basketball historian.
And I'm Jay, avid basketball fan and conversationalist.
There we go. So we're gonna go three-handed today, boys. Coach Theory is out, Rob is out, but we got each other, and there's been a lot of action in the NBA. So we're gonna go through a lot of topics today. There's been so much since last Saturday. It was 3-3 last Saturday, and the Thunder won the championship. So we're gonna go over that a little bit. Then we're gonna get into some draft history, draft details, draft highlights, just all things draft, which happened this week as well. And we'll finish off with some trade talk. There's been some major trades in the NBA. There's a lot of fun stuff here, and I'm sure we'll get into a lot of things along the way. So let's start off with the NBA championship game, Game 7, the Thunder. Chew, what was your take on that?
A lot of build up. It was the most excited I've been for a basketball game in a long time. It's not every day you get to watch a game seven in the finals.
Right.
And Halliburton started off hot, was talking shit to the crowd, launching deep threes. And I thought the first couple minutes, I'm like, they're actually going to do this. And then, of
Right.
course, he goes down. Of course, the team that I'm rooting for goes down. And the Pacers actually like through the adrenaline, they put up a great fight through the first half. And they were just running on, yeah, they were just running on adrenaline. And you could tell basically as soon as they went into halftime, the Thunder, they sat down and said, okay, without Halliburton, these are their weaknesses now. It's so much more magnified. And they came out in the third and just put on the best defensive, probably the best defensive half,
Dude,
one of the best defensive halves in basketball history.
it was
And
so
they
dominant.
were everywhere, dude. And that was the story of the Thunder and of Game Seven was the OKC defense.
Yeah, all right. I think it's easy to say. Well, I think it's easy for you to say they had one of the best halves in basketball history when the other team's missing their best player.
Yeah. Well, they
Yeah,
were they
it
were
was.
they were
Yeah.
more exploitable. They were more exploitable, right? So when you have a bigger weakness, like they couldn't attack the OKC defense the way that they planned, and they
Right.
just loaded up on everyone that was a threat. And there was I don't know what it was, but a good six minutes where it was just like the TJ McConnell show, where he
Right.
was just like
Yeah, he tried to
so
heat up the
awesome,
game.
and he was the
That's
only
where I
guy
was
that
getting
scored for
to.
like 6 minutes.
TJ McConnell was trying to do everything he could. He's just not that guy to be the primary scorer or ball handler. He's great off the bench. He's great for the second team and he provides incredible minutes for them. But as soon as they're able to lock in on him for an extended period of time, I think that becomes a very easy cover for some of the more athletic wings that OKC has. I was just watching a bunch of possessions during that game on TJ McConnell, and they were being super physical with him. In some ways, I think that they were getting away with a lot of fouls.
That's a big
They were
narrative
reaching,
too. Huge narrative.
holding, they were doing a lot of that the refs weren't calling. So I think that's something to consider. But I think my take, Hallie's in that game, they're winning that game. I think
Dude,
Halliburton would have had an historic game seven.
he
He
had three
was
threes.
primed for it.
Three
Yeah.
threes. Yeah, he had three threes
Oh,
in the first minutes. Like he was on fire, like out of the
he was
gate.
ready to go. I
Yeah.
think we were robbed of what could have been, um, the momentum killer maybe of what OKC thought they had. They do have, but
Right.
I think the Pacers would have taken that game.
I have it's hard because it's like, yeah, like the excitement was there, like you guys were saying, like for this game seven, these two young teams both had great runs. And then for Halliburton to blow his Achilles like that in the first quarter after dropping three threes, it's just such a letdown.
It's
And
devastating,
yeah, it was just hard to watch.
even as a fan.
Yeah, as a lover of basketball, and then there was, now there is like this whole conversation about, why are there Achilles? Why do we have more Achilles injuries? Is it because of like the way the game is now with so much more running up and down the court and less half time, less half court basketball and all that? That's a whole other conversation too. But I mean, yeah, for me it was a letdown, and in that first half, it did seem like okay, like the Pacers were going off this adrenaline, like, and they were up at halftime, I believe, right?
Are
They
competing.
they went back, yeah, they were competing, and then that third quarter came out, and it was just like they couldn't dribble the ball. It looked like a varsity team against like a JV team or something, where like they kept hounding the guy with the ball, and the Pacers couldn't get anything going. I think Siakam didn't show up. He had 16 points. I think Turner and Neesmith had like 6 and 3 points. Like
Well, here,
but Matherin had 24 and 13 off the bench. McConnell did his thing, but it just wasn't enough.
okay. Matherin did have the stats, 24 points, 13 boards, but there were a lot of plays that I was watching Benedict Matherin and he was trying to go one-on-one and play hero ball,
Right?
and that's just not their game. And you got to applaud him for trying to step up and be that
Sure.
guy, but I think you got to stay within the system. You got to go back to the Naismiths getting open shots. And then Miles Turner, like, are you kidding me? Where were you? Like,
Yeah.
they literally had no bigs on the floor and you had like 4 points. Are you kidding me? Like, hello, it's the biggest game of your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It goes to show you how much Halliburton is the engine of that team. And we had this conversation about like, oh, like is it Tyrese's team or is it Siakam is the real star? And now when you look at what happened without Halliburton, it's like they couldn't function, for too long without him. I mean, yeah, McConnell did what he could, but it wasn't enough. And it's hard because now you you want to take a you don't want to take away from the Thunder winning. But it was just kind of like,
No.
well, like they won it, but it's always going to have that asterisk, just like with KD blowing out his Achilles and Clay getting hurt, and it always has that little thing on it now, but we'll
What
see.
I did respect was Shea SGA going into the locker room to go like check on Halliburton after the game. I thought that was huge. I think he's a
Yeah,
class act. Um, and I wish Sylvan was here because I know he's always trying to compare to the grades. And I just think it's time for us to stop doing that and let individual players be great by themselves without comparing them. Let them write their own legacy. Like we don't always have to compare them to the likes of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Like let these guys be great, man. And they're young. They're the future of the league. You need to embrace
definitely.
that. They need to be marketed also by the league a little bit more. Like SGA, like no, I feel like the league is still trying to push the money, which I think is LeBron, Steph,
Curry, yeah, yeah,
Curry,
Durant.
Steph, Durant, but they're forgetting about these younger guys, and it's like, hey, these guys are up, so pay attention to them, and then
Yeah.
maybe you'll get more viewership for the finals, even though the game seven obviously was huge, but so
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, SGA is everything you want in a superstar, honestly.
yeah.
He did great adjustments after he didn't play well in game six and came out and had, I think, the most assists he's had all playoffs in game seven.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and he's going to get better. This is the scary part. This whole team is going to
Yeah,
get better.
right.
Chet played a great defensive game. Offensively, he was not very good in this series, but he's going to get
Defensively,
better.
he locked down. He had 5 blocks. What was
All,
that? Was that a game seven high of all time? I think, right?
dude, he can guard one
Yeah.
through five. Like
He
once
was
he gets a little more confidence in his jumper and offensively, I mean, this team is not even close to where they're going to be.
he was
It's like
getting a little
scary.
bullied by Turner for a couple games.
In game six, he was bullied
Yes.
for sure.
He was
Yes.
getting bullied. But here's the thing. Okay. OKC now goes into this offseason and it's the landscape of re-signing their players looks a lot different coming off a championship than had
That's
they have
true.
lost.
That's true.
They got a lot of contracts coming up and decisions that they're going to have to make. But when everybody's happy, everybody's willing to maybe become a little bit more accommodating for the team to try and see if they can run it back.
Yeah, well, there's two narratives, right? One is like if you win the chip, those players can get big money somewhere else, right? Because they won and you're part of a championship team. Or there's the flip side of it where, okay, we all won. Let's keep this team together. Let's make some
Look at the
concessions for
chemistry.
each other. Yeah, keep the chemistry together. And I think this team, of all teams, this team probably would like to stay together, right? They're a young team. They play for each other, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think they stay together. I think the chemistry and the camaraderie and the youth that they have, I think they realize they have a real opportunity. And I
Yeah.
think that they're gonna go with that. So
It's
they're a
scary.
well put
It's
together
scary.
team.
Well, we don't want to drop the D word quite yet for dynasty or dynasty, if you will. No, no, we don't want
Nowhere
to yet,
near.
right? Yeah.
Nowhere near it. Nowhere
Nowhere
near it.
near. Nowhere near,
Nowhere near it.
obviously, but
I
it's
mean, every team,
yeah.
like, when was the last back-to-back champ we had?
Yeah.
Warriors. Well, you gotta stay,
Exactly.
dude.
Like,
You gotta stay healthy. And this also goes to show how much of a great roster Presti put together, right? Because they had two game
Yeah.
sevens. In both game sevens, one of the best players on the other team, Aaron Gordon or Halliburton, goes down or is seriously injured, right? Like the healthiest team usually wins the championship. And I don't know if they had any health problems at all throughout the playoffs. But that goes to show that's partly because the Stars didn't play many minutes in the regular season because they were blowing out teams because they were so well constructed. So it's a
Dominant. Well,
deep
yeah.
team. It's a deep team where, anyone can step in and have a big game. You can have a Lou Dort game, an Alex Caruso game where it takes pressure off of, Chet can shoot like 15% from three, and they can still
it's,
be so dominant.
it's
Yeah.
so crazy the impact that Caruso can have. Like, I just feel like his impact is just for one guy who looks like he probably never got drafted, just comes in and shifts an entire series.
And plays the
It's
best defense on Jokic that anyone's ever seen. It's great.
insane.
Yeah. Sorry about
But
that.
um, but
You're so
before we do that though, before we move on to the next topic, defensively, do you guys like how the league refs playoff games so much different than regular season? Like, is this a long-term winning move by the league?
Well,
Is it
that
causing these
depends.
injuries?
Is the extender part of the reffing crew or not? Because I that is like insane to me.
Yeah, you know what? I just have
But
a hard time with it because like this whole thing. I saw a meme this morning about Mike Bibby saying that like the NBA has specific crews and like refs crewing refs if they want games to go certain ways, and it's like I can't I don't like to like feed into that because I don't want to like make it about refing and like make it about narratives and going down that road of like NBA wanting certain things to play out. I want to believe that they're playing and they're, it's like it's a fair game. At the same time, I don't want to completely ignore it, but I don't know. I like more aggressive play. I like letting them play, but I like when it goes both ways. But then it's like I don't want them to get like mauled when they go through the lane. Like it's not the 80s. So there's a balance. I don't love like a pure finesse game, but I like it when they let them play a little bit more when they swallow the
The,
whistle a little bit more. I like more of an active game, and I'd rather have a little bit of that as long as it's going both ways.
I do too, but it really
right.
devalues the regular season when you when you watch how they ref the regular season. It's like they're not even trying, and then all of a sudden it goes to the playoffs, and it's like, wow, this is actually when they're actually trying. You have like these Pacer players that you think can't play defense, just like swarming
Well,
the
that
Thunder.
what we're talking about here goes to the bigger question that I think the league is addressing now, right? Is
Yeah.
how do they manage all of this, right? Are they shortening the season to manage injuries? There was even talk of like getting rid of the corner three. I think I heard that on the
Oh, really?
Mind the Game by with LeBron and Steve Nash.
Okay.
Shout out to them. They got a great podcast.
And join us over
But
here, guys. Yeah.
but no, I think the league's gonna take a look at it, but I think it's gonna be hard to make huge adjustments like that because of what are the financial dynamics that affected shortening the game.
Yeah, they're not gonna
Um,
do that. They're not. I don't think they're
okay,
gonna shorten that.
if you introduce the 4-point shot, like all of a sudden you have kids that are less developed and trying to practice shooting 4-point shots when they can barely make a layup. And so like you really start to like change the whole dynamic and trajectory of the game from when kids start playing as a kid to where they are now.
Yeah,
So
and then
see,
people are gonna have their opinions about the nature of the game and what the game was like from before. And kind of to your point, Jay, about like letting these guys be great, letting stop going in them, putting like ranking them based on like players from the past. Like the game has evolved, like, and it will continue
yeah.
to evolve. And you know, there's only so much you can do to like manufacture the product versus like let the game be what it's going to be and how these athletes are playing and what they're doing. I mean, Steph revolutionized the game with the shot, so. You can't take that away. Like it wasn't like a choice that the NBA made. This guy from, Davidson that people didn't see coming. Like, but I'm kind of like we're moving past that now. So I mean
But
it's
as we're watching, as we're seeing, the body can only handle so much. These
right.
guys, pinnacle athletes, can only handle so
Yeah.
so we'll see.
Yeah, so like let's see how quickly Halliburton will come back from that Achilles. If previously that would
They're,
have been like a whole year, right? It would have been for
yeah,
sure.
they're not a factor next year. So
But
where do they go?
yeah, but with modern medicine, who knows? Maybe it'll come back sooner. But I wouldn't push it if I was him. Obviously, yeah. What are they gonna do without Halliburton next year? Probably not much. So now the East is gonna be wide open again.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about this whole thing is that now you're going to have a lot of teams in the East and a lot of well that think they have a shot, and a lot of players in the West that are like trade me East, or I want to sign with a team in the East,
Yeah.
right? Like if you were a fringe all-star player, you would love to go to the East right now. You could actually make, if you're Norm Powell or someone like this, like
Norman
someone who's
Powell
never made a,
should have been All-Star. Should have been
he could
All-Star.
Hey,
be, he could be in the East, he
Clippers,
could be.
hey, Clippers are no joke next year.
Right. What
Kawhi,
It's true.
Kawhi training
I
his
saw that
body and
training,
well into
guys.
June.
All right, guys. All right, this as another vibrant discussion as usual with the NBA Finals. That was great, guys. I think we touched on a lot of great points. Let's keep this train moving. Um, we had the draft this week, right? We had the draft this week, and there's a lot of fun things going on, tons and tons of trades. Truth be told, like I haven't done a deep dive into the players. I know a handful of them from the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we have Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, who kind of dropped because of some height stuff. There's some other players in there. So, what did you guys think about the draft? How much of it did you follow? What did you guys see from the draft? What did we get? What did we get from the draft? Chu, we'll start with you.
I love the draft. I don't watch a lot of college basketball, so I don't know the players well, but I just love the concept of team building and roster construction. I like reading the grades after the draft to see which team won and which team didn't. I like when you have aggressive moves that you go up, 7 spots to get the guy that you like. Um, Cooper Flag, he's going to be great. I think he is like one of the lowest floor or the highest floor number one picks we've seen in a while. Spurs, of course, the Spurs get the second pick. Shout out to Ron Harper's wife. Uh,
Why is
this,
why?
you didn't see Dylan. So Dylan Harper is Ron Harper's kid. The guy that Ron Harper was like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
starting point. Yeah, you know Ron Harper.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
shout out to
yeah.
the wife?
Dude, go look at a photo of her. Can you? I'll pull it up when we look at it. It's like
Okay.
this Filipino hot chick.
All right, guys.
Um,
Okay, guys. Again,
That's a hot take.
this is a family show, guys. Family show.
yeah, shout out,
Yeah,
Mrs.
okay.
Harper.
Okay.
Um, but the Spurs, they draft so well, and the Spurs are that like they're set up forever. And dude, who is the best Spurs player that wasn't drafted by their Spurs? Like they have such a good
Right.
draft record.
Right. Tony
Like if you go through
Parker,
their top
Ginobili, obviously
Bruce Bowen.
historically.
Kawhi, Robinson,
Well,
Duncan, like their
they
top
traded
that
for Kawhi. They traded for Kawhi on draft day
on draft
for
night, which I
from the
consider is part of a
Pacers
draft.
for was it
Like
George
it might
Hill?
take you might get to like the 11th best player on the Spurs history that wasn't drafted by them, like Aldridge or someone, you know? Um,
Well, they
Ace
got Fox
Bailey,
now.
what?
They
Oh
got
yeah,
they
Fox,
got
yeah.
Fox now. So
But I want to talk about the draft. So Ace Bailey was the projected number three pick.
yes,
He's got shades of Kevin Durant, like
yes,
a top end potential superstar. And he's being represented by this guy that wouldn't let him work out for any team and tried to strong arm his way to a situation that he wanted. And he kept falling. So he's supposed to go to three, didn't go, four, didn't go,
right.
five, didn't go. And then
I think he
the
went at
Jazz,
five. I think he went
oh, he
at
went at
five.
five,
He
yeah.
went at five to the
And then,
Jazz.
Yeah.
right. So this is what I want to talk about. So, Danny Ainge is now the GM of the Jazz. And if there was one guy that you don't want to like bluff or test, it's Danny Ainge. And let me just tell you, I did a little bit of research on Danny Ainge
Wow.
before this.
Okay.
Okay. Danny Ainge is the only high school player in the history of America to be first team All-America in football, basketball, and baseball.
What?
Freak athlete.
Interesting.
Wow.
He's a Mormon guy. He then goes to BYU, where he wins the John Wooden Award for College Basketball Player of the Year. all while playing professional baseball for the Toronto Blue Jays.
What?
Wow.
He then plays, I think, 14 NBA seasons, wins 2 championships with the Celtics,
Yep.
gets traded to Portland, where he goes in 1992 to the finals, where he loses to MJ.
Wow.
In 1993, he's on the Suns team that goes to the finals, loses to MJ. He becomes the coach of the Suns when he retires, and then he becomes the GM of the Celtics, where he pulls off some of the most amazing basketball roster constructions in the history of or at least in the past 25 years. Right? He trades um, for the big three. They win a chip. He runs them till the wheels fall off, unloads them on the Jazz or on the Nets
Nets
for all these
on the Nets,
the Nets
right,
for
right.
all these future picks. Just dumps all this
I mean,
crap
yeah,
on the
this is
Nets.
crazy. This is a deep
He's a
And
dive.
this is the
winner.
best part. This is the best part. He had the number one pick, which he got from that trade. He gets the 76ers to trade a first round pick and the third pick, which they end up taking
Fultz. Fultz.
Markel Fultz.
Wow.
And now the Celtics take Jason Tatum, perennial All-Star, Hall of Famer, right? Like first team All-NBA guy. Okay. At the same time, he finds a gem in Isaiah Thomas, runs him till the wheels fall off, gets into the Eastern Conference Finals, basically, um, and then trades him for Kyrie Irving. Okay. Like also
Wow.
also also drafts Jalen Brown. Okay.
Wow.
This guy knows basketball. This guy has
Yeah.
won at every level, is a freak, and obviously, dude, he's like a competitor. And I just love the fact that this guy Ace Bailey tried to bluff him. And it's like, I'm not going to the Jazz. It's like, oh, you're not going to the Jazz? It's like, we'll see about that. I'm taking you at 5 because he knows the high and upside of Ace Bailey. So now we have this whole standoff. Will Ace Bailey show up for training camp? He doesn't want to go. It's ironic because the Jazz is actually probably a great fit because they don't really have
Right.
like
Right.
a small forward, and they
He
have
can
a
be
great
the
team, a bunch of
guy.
draft picks. Like it would be a great situation for him. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to give a shout out to Danny
Wow.
Ainge
That was
I
because
really
love
this guy,
good,
that. Thank
Drew.
you
That
for
was
doing
really
that
good,
research.
Drew.
yeah,
Look
He's a
what you got.
winner.
That's
winner,
well,
That
yeah.
guy's a
Let's
winner.
see. So Ainge v Bailey. I mean, I saw this meme that said like, oh, okay, honestly, that was really fantastic, Chew. That was really good dive. Um, but the draft is a place where there all these prospects are, right? Um, Talent evaluation, right, is a hard thing to do. We constantly see uh picks or that lottery picks or picks out of the top 10, right? That end up being like perennial all-star players. So I did a quick little dive here myself. Um like last year, we don't really know like Ricochet and Sar and Dillingham. We don't really know where they're gonna be. But the year before 23, we had Victor Wembanyama, Amen Thompson, Brandon Miller. You know they're gonna be good probably, but those are guys at the top picks. But then there's like Cason Wallace and Lively who fell a little bit, who seem to be good rotation players. Then in the year 2022, J-Dub was the 12th pick, right? And
yeah,
obviously that was huge. We kind of know that one from Presti, but there was Jalen Duren, Tari Eason, Mark Williams, Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Nemhard Jovic. Those guys were all out of the top 10. Who I looked like these are guys are rotation players that could be getting better. So now we go to year 21. Şengün was the 16th pick. That year, he's the only all-star from that's out of the top 10. That was the year with like Cade Cunningham. And then in the year 2020 draft,
Jalen Green.
yeah, in the year 2020 draft, I got a couple more. This is good. This is where it gets really saucy. Tyrese Halliburton goes at pick 12. Okay, in the 20th draft.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey goes at 21. Bane goes at 30. And all these players are like now the main like kind of some of the main stars of their teams. And as you were saying earlier, Jay, the future of the NBA. In the year 2019, Tyler Hero went 13th. You can say what you will about maybe his leadership, but he's balling right now. He had the best year of his career. And then I stopped here at the year 2018, which is now, if you count it, 8 drafts ago, 7 years ago. So this is where the NBA is now. SGA was the 11th pick. Um, and Brunson was the 33rd pick, was a second round player. And even Anthony Simons, now who got traded to be part of this like future Celtics squad, which is, what are they doing over there? Um, that's 8 years ago, right?
Yeah,
And this is where the NBA is now. And when I look at this draft and I go, man, it's a couple guys here and there each year that really end up like rising to the top. That's outside of the top five, even.
yeah,
So I thought that was a cool little thing that I was looking through. So
yeah,
let's see. So let's see. I have no idea who these guys are gonna be who this year from this.
yeah. Thank you, Mark. That was some good research right there. Appreciate that. And
Yeah.
the only thing that I was actually going to say about the draft is that it's hard for me to get excited about the draft because of the exact same reason that you're talking about right now. You don't really see who these players are until they develop in the league, maybe 5, 6, 7 years down the line, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh wow, where did he get drafted?
Right.
Like, who drafted that guy? Where did he come from? And so that's why for me, I think it's a little bit difficult to pay attention to the draft outside of the guys who are heralded at the top. And what I think about Cooper Flag is that he's got the potential. He's got the swag, he's got the game, he can talk in front of the camera. He's he's fortunate enough to be paired up with Kyrie, who I think is going to provide a lot of like really good insight and experience on not just life, but life in basketball in the NBA. He's got AD, who's gonna, teach him how to be physical and how to get to his spots and really like use his post moves. And it takes a lot. He won't have the pressure of being the main ball handler
Right.
like a lot of rookies do because of
Right.
those two guys in particular. So it's going to give him the opportunity to kind of blossom into the max player that he can be, I think. So I think the NBA did a really good job of rigging the system and giving the Mavericks the first pick
You really took rigging,
because of
right?
the
So
lyric
you're
trade.
it's like a common thing, right? Like, okay, like Luca goes to
Come
LA,
on.
we'll give
Come
the
on,
first
dude.
pick. I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
What
Like,
was the percentage? What was the
it was like
percentage
less than
chance that
one. It was. I mean, I don't know.
like
I'm just saying. Look,
is
I believe it's easy to say that all this stuff is like written somewhere and decided in the board. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna make fun of.
the NBA is one bad move or one revealing fact from becoming the WWF.
All right. I mean, okay, hot take. I mean, I guess.
And it almost happened. It almost happened to them with the Tim Donaghy
Yeah, that was
case.
a wild. I watched that documentary. I know Chu watched it too. I know we've all watched it.
Yeah,
Like,
the podcast.
yeah,
I didn't need to watch it because I was sitting there with all you guys watching the Sacramento Kings Lakers in 2002 being
I
like,
will
what is
Oh
say.
happening?
no, get out
Oh
of
no, Mark,
town.
we're going
Get
there.
him.
Look, I will say to Chu and to Jay, both of you, after watching that documentary, I was more like, huh, all right. Like, I guess I was kind of like maybe didn't believe it as much, and you can only deny it like so much. I mean, he thought that he wasn't like he was point shaving. He didn't think he was affecting the outcomes of games, which is the crazy part. But he was. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But I mean, does the NBA have a problem with that? I mean,
It's
look, two small
it's
market
no, but
teams.
I think the main thing was the star calls. The star calls is the problem. Is
Okay,
like making sure that these players are getting the wins, being orchestrated by the league. The league is a business. The league has certain vested interests in
right.
certain players in certain markets.
You
They
don't
want to
want
see
AI to
teams
win. You
win.
don't want AI. AI was not the
Imagine it's your business. You know what I mean? Like you want to see the best. And so we're still going to be fans. People are still going to be fans. It doesn't take away from the ability of these incredible athletes. But there's just
The fact that the Thunder and the Pacers made it to the finals shows that it's not like a predetermined outcome. They can sway it as much as they want. They can give players to the franchises that need help. But ultimately, if you have uh like talent, the talent that the OKC Thunder have, they're gonna win, even if the league doesn't want them to. Because, you know, if you go by your logic that they want the stars and the big market teams to win, this is the Thunder, dude. It's like they wouldn't that would go against your logic. So just know that ultimately talent, if you have enough talent, you will rise to the top.
For sure. And that's why I think it's like it could be like a hybrid of both, right? They're like, damn,
Right.
the train is rolling here. How do we want this to play out? Game seven? Yeah, let's do that. Bring the extender in. Game six.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I hear you, dude. I mean, there's a certain level of it, like it's an inexact, art like refereeing and mo teams that have momentum. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into
yeah,
that.
let's not take away
Yeah.
from how great the athletes
Yeah,
are.
with the draft itself, let's see. I'm always excited. I mean, I play fantasy
Yeah.
basketball, I do dynasty basketball and stuff like that too. And it's always it's hard to pick, and especially when you have busts at the top, or you have you have stars at the top. It's fun to see them grow. It's fun to see them evolve. And I think when you look at how the last 7 or 8 drafts have been, the future of the NBA is now because a lot of these players, Evan Mobley just won what defensive player of the year and all of that. So shout out to them. So
One last take
yeah,
on
on the draft. On the draft, and then we'll
dude.
switch it up a little bit.
This is just not really so much on the
Oh,
draft,
okay,
but
go for it. You're good.
Victor Wembanyama being probably one of the most heralded picks of the last
23,
maybe
2023, 2 years ago. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
but maybe like one of the most heralded picks like ever.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
to see him, where is he in, right? I think he's in like China with the monks.
Yes, that was cool. That was
That
Sick.
was very Kobe-esque. I'll say that. Like
He's very grounded. He's grounded.
yeah, learning like just the mental side of life and how to control your emotions and all that is like what? That is that was great. I thought that was really
that is
fascinating, and
impressive.
I think it's really going to propel his agility, like the way that he was doing the Tai Chi and all that kind of stuff. Like that was like I was like, whoa, I haven't seen a player put that kind of work in since Kobe.
Well, you know what's also cool is there's a clip of him in somewhere, I think it's in Central America, like Costa Rica, playing soccer with a bunch of like village kids.
Yeah,
Like
like
he
he's
just
a
seems
real
cool.
one.
Yeah, he's
He's a real
I
one.
like his game. I like his game. Let's see where I mean he's going to be going into his third year. He got drafted in
Yeah,
23. He played
it's
last
yeah.
his
season,
year.
and then yeah, he had that deep vein thrombosis, which was kind of scary. But that now they're quietly getting a nice. You got the rookie of the year and Stephon Castle behind him. You know,
Yeah.
looks
De'Aaron Fox.
like what's that?
De'Aaron Fox, right?
Yeah, they traded for Fox, they traded for Fox. That's going to be great. And they got Harper in the draft. Let's see what kind of moves they make.
OKC, watch out.
Yeah, that's gonna
OKC,
be that's
watch
gonna be
out.
some that's gonna be some. I think they're gonna come up, but I think also the Rockets too, with who I kind of went through a similar like rejuvenation and got a young players that moved a few of them and some picks for KD. That's gonna be big, but yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think
an
that's
exciting time.
now we're segueing into the trades, right?
Yeah. Oh yes. Good. Oh, Chew. Yes. Are you screen sharing? Okay.
Oh,
Real
Guys,
quick.
guys,
oh
guys.
my gosh.
I
I
should have
thought
turned
my
off
screen
screen.
was coming on with
I should
something
have
I didn't
turned off
want.
screen. I thought I turned off screen sharing. No. All right.
Okay, let me how do I stop
Okay.
video?
Okay. Screen share. I'm turning it off.
I don't know how to turn these off.
I've removed your privileges. I should know better. Mark, silly Mark. I'm the host. No. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Fine. Okay. You should have had like that Stacy's mom song like pop up too. Um,
We can still edit
Ron,
it.
hey, all we know is that
I'm not editing anything.
Ron
I
Harper is a winner. Ron
Yeah.
Harper is a winner, dude.
All right. All right. Yeah.
he only won because of Jordan.
There you go. Okay.
And Kobe, right? He had wait, did he win three with the Lakers too? Or just
He
I
won
don't know if he
one.
won
I
three.
think
He
he
won
won.
one, I
I think he
think, with the
won with the
Lakers.
Lakers. I think he won with the Lakers. But the
And then
draft is a
retired.
beautiful time. I mean, look, some of the when you tell me like Zion was a big time like prospect. When you tell me like which one were heralded, I think Zion was. People thought he was going to change the league, and he's balling, but he just. I don't think his injuries and his inability to stay on the court and just like maybe his. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and judge his work ethic, but maybe he's not. Yeah, cerebrally, I don't know. He's
Character,
not it. He's not there.
character is a factor,
Yeah.
work ethic. So, well,
Okay. Yeah.
that's yeah,
So we'll
again,
get into that.
that's
So there's been a bunch of
one last thing about the draft.
yeah.
Whenever I
Let's
watch the
go.
second half of the draft, so 15 through 30, I always think one of these guys is going to be like a perennial all-star, which is fun to think about. I'm like, which one is it? Like
Yeah.
most of them won't be in the league in like 4 years, but one of them is gonna fucking ball out for the next like 15 years. It's
Yeah.
just a
yeah.
fun. It's fun to be like, which one?
Is it,
I love
what
it.
is it? Is it the system? Is it like their growth? Is it like,
It's
what,
luck. Yeah, it's
it's a lot
everything.
of, some of it's luck, some of it's talent, some of it's like just natural growth because these guys are like 18, 19, 20 years old. Like as you grow and you develop, like you get better, stronger, so, um,
Yeah.
and obviously what the main one, Nikola Jokic, was famously drafted late second round and during a Taco Bell commercial, so like, it's, so we'll see. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and summer leagues coming up and stuff like that. But all right, guys, so we're doing great, great banter, great talk here. Um, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up with a little bit of a discussion on the trades we've seen so far. We saw Bain go to Orlando. Massive trade. KD goes to Houston for Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks and some picks. The Celtics moved Porzingis and Drew Holiday. That was big. They got Nyang. I don't know. I'm not sure what else they got back. Anthony Simons. Then there was Wizards and Pelicans made them swapping Sadiq Bey and Poole. I don't know those. I don't know what's going on with that. Naz Reid re-signed, 5 year, 125 mil. Good for him. Talk about a player that really worked his way up. We also had we just heard, what was it? Lamelo? No, not Lamelo. Lonzo.
Lonzo
Lonzo
for the Cavs.
to the Cavs for Okoro. Interesting, but I know we've seen a lot of action so far. What
Yeah,
what do you guys takes on this? On any of these
I think
trades?
I
Yeah.
think a lot of like especially with the Desmond Bane trade, I think they're offloading KCP's contract for sure
Okay. Yeah.
because he's very underperforming. Um, which is crazy. Like you get paid and then you underperform and then you ask yourself like why? Like he was supposed to be that guy that was the Caruso of that squad,
Yeah. Yes.
So now they got Bane, and is Bane going to be that guy? I think Bane has a lot more youth, and I think he can bring like a good perimeter threat for that team. And the
Yeah.
Banchero,
Yes.
uh, in the Banchero era of Orlando, because Banchero, he's coming.
Yeah,
You know
he's
what I mean?
going. Yeah,
Like he
he's
had no
drafted in
fear in the playoffs.
2022. 2022 he was drafted. So he's going into his one, two, three. He'll go into his fourth year, I believe, in the NBA. So and he's shown that he's it. Franz Wagner is he's good too.
Does the KD trade move the needle? I don't know.
Man, I mean, this is the whole thing. Has the NBA passed by Kevin Durant, or does he still have that in him to lead this Rockets team, or with that team that they have? What do you think, Chu?
Well, it's interesting because statistically he's still dominant, right? But
Right.
he doesn't have the same impact. And it's like I love this part of a player's career, right? Where they're on the tail end of it, like Paul Pierce on the Wizards. He's still getting buckets, but is he affecting winning the same way? Um, Chris Paul, like the last couple of years of the Suns, like these
Yeah.
are winning players still, like they're additive. But if you look at what the Rockets gave up for him, yeah, dude, this is a huge win for the Rockets.
Yeah. They didn't
They
give
got
up.
out of Jalen
Yeah.
Green, who
Yep.
is a losing, I mean, who knows, still young, but likely
Right. Exactly.
an empty stats kind of player. And
Maybe.
Dylan Brooks, who I like, but I mean, he's your small forward or power forward. Kevin Durant's gonna is way better. And also, if you look at the way that they lost to the Warriors, they didn't have like the closer that would come in, and this is exactly what Kevin Durant does. Also, I think maybe last year he probably wasn't as motivated playing with like Nurkic and Beal, and he might have like one, he might actually try defensively and get the extra couple steps in to take a charge or to get a block that is going to actually, be winning basketball. So I love it for the Rockets. For the Suns, it's like, dude, this was a terrible. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing because they don't have their any picks.
Yeah.
Or Devin
And
Booker,
What do you think,
yeah,
Jay, about this KD to the Rockets?
or Devin Booker.
Yeah,
That's all
poor.
I gotta say.
They should trade him too for a bunch of picks, but I don't know if his value is quite there right now. But I mean,
Booker?
yeah, well, yeah, I think it should be, but who knows but maybe if they're desperate to trade him, like like it seems that they're desperate, they might not give up, they might not get a lot out of it. But I do think with KD, they didn't give up that much, right? They gave up a few picks. They still have Shepard. They still have Tari Eason. They're still Cam Whitmore and talk. They can still make big moves. They could still trade more players if they really wanted to.
How
Um,
old is KD? 36, 37?
he has the same birthday as Jeff Barr.
Yeah, my cousin
I
did.
don't know. He's definitely in his like what? Let's see. Let's KDH.
We ran into him outside of this is maybe like the Olympics back in the
36. You got it.
how much? 36? Yeah.
He's
We ran
30.
into him outside of we went to go watch the US Olympic team practice when Kobe, KD, all that
But
in
you saw that?
Vegas. Yeah, we watched him practice in scrimmage. Me and
Okay.
Jeff went out there to go watch him. And he was coming out of the stadium where they were practicing, and Jeff like had his ID out and was like, "We have the same birthday," and
That's
he
amazing.
dapped him up or whatever.
That's
And
amazing.
then we saw Dwight Howard come out, and I was like, I just could not believe how physically big and in shape like Dwight Howard was. I was just like, what? This guy is he's the
Yeah.
future, you know? And well, he wasn't, but he did was a very important piece to us winning a championship in the bubble. I'd say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, dude.
By us, that's the Lakers. Yeah, the bubble chip. I mean,
Yeah.
He
yeah.
was probably the guy. I mean, without Dwight Howard, you don't make it past the Nuggets in the
And
bubble.
JaVale
Yeah, JaVale McGee.
McGee.
Yeah, we need some of that. I mean, what the Lakers need to do, that's a whole other conversation for a different time. But I mean, with the KD trade, let's see like how they mesh together. It looks like they still kept, a good piece. They have a lot of quality players still there. I think they're gonna bring in Reed Shepherd maybe to play that. Who's gonna play the point guard over there? And but there time will tell how that team will pan out.
Yeah,
But they
Fred
did
Van
make
Fleet.
yeah.
Van Fleet.
Oh, Van Vliet, yeah, but he's like yeah, I guess he could play the one. He
Van
but
Fleet's that guy.
he was playing off ball more, obviously when with Jalen there, he was playing more of the two combo 1-2 guard. Um, yeah. So
I think that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think a lot of these trades are just like they're not like monumental trades. They're just like moving assets around and like trying to figure out what you're gonna be doing for the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, what's interesting is the East is so wide open with the Tatum and Halliburton injury that now you have teams like the Hawks and the Magic that are like one of those two teams is probably making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Either Hawks or
Porzingis went to
Magic.
the Hawks, right? Porzingis went to the Hawks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're Detroit, you're probably looking at this and being like,
Oh,
oh,
Oh
this is wide
yeah.
open
don't
right
sleep
here.
on Detroit.
Yeah.
That was a tough first round loss to the Knicks, but then
Hmm.
they show that they're ready to play and they're coming too. They're
Shout
hungry.
out to the Pistons.
Yeah. Shout
They
out to
could
the
be the next
Pistons, right?
Pacers. I
Right.
like them.
Yeah. I mean,
Booker to the Pistons. That's a trade that would be
oh wow. Hot.
yeah.
Yeah, but who they gonna trade? They don't really have anyone to trade.
I do wonder what the Celtics are doing though too. I think with Anthony Simons, he's proven to be a bucket getter, right, in the NBA. But I don't know. He hasn't really played a lot of meaningful games with that Portland team. But I don't know. I wonder what's that match going to be like.
Trading Drew Holiday, like, you guys are just throwing in the towel, right? Because like Drew
It's a
Holiday,
salary dump. It's a salary dump. That's
Yeah,
it's a pure salary move. They save like tens of millions of dollars or more.
sure. Yeah, there is that. There's
but
that
he's like
perspective.
insane. He's so great on defense and offense when he need like clutch. Like he's a great player. He's a great asset.
Yeah, he had a low year last year. But he didn't play that well. But I don't know if I wonder. I don't think he's going to stay in Portland. I think he'll probably move again.
Yeah, he'll probably come to the Lakers.
I'm down. I'm down for that. And then
The
there's
the
also
Drew Holiday pass to Giannis in the finals against the Suns, the alley-oop, the full court alley-oop, one of the best passes in NBA history. Shout out, shout out Drew Holiday.
On par with the Kobe to Shaq in the Western Conference Finals against
It's
the
right there.
Blazers.
It's right there.
yeah.
Both those
I,
are epic NBA Finals moments.
and I
Oh
will
no,
say
that was Western Conference Finals.
yeah, and then for the Celtics too, I think I George Niang, I think last year in the playoffs, like played really well for the Hawks. He when it mattered, like he was on the court,
Yeah.
he was hungry. I don't like I feel like he's one of those players that maybe you look at like, oh, what's he gonna use a 3-point guy? But like I feel like he might actually be pretty good for the Celtics next year. But anyway, I mean that's just what I was like, oh, it's shocking. I was like, okay, so Niang to the Celtics, that's interesting call. So
Yeah,
Who's
Celtics are still going to be competitive. The East is so weak.
yeah, I
The
mean,
Celtics are still going to
but
make it into the East to
yeah,
play in.
but if Tatum doesn't play, like if they're gonna sit him the whole year, 'cause obviously, I don't know what they're gonna do. Um, are they really gonna trade Jalen Brown? There's been so much around that. There's been so much trade talk around JB. So it's like
that would be crazy. Yeah,
that's what
in
I
my
think
opinion, they'd
too.
be blowing up the team because he's I mean, he's what, top 10, maybe a top 10 player in the league?
I agree. Okay, Max is back. What do you think? There you go. The Maxi. He's giving me a wet one.
Max, Vernon Maxwell.
Vernon Maxwell. Hey, buddy. Yeah, there we go. He's making his appearance. What do you guys think out there about his haircut? You guys like it? You know,
I love it. He's so cute.
he's my
I'm
He's
guy.
sure
such a
he's more
cute
comfortable.
Yeah,
boy. He's a cute boy.
nice.
All right, we bringing our dogs in? Well, don't make
Yeah,
me
we
bring my
can't.
dog in.
Well, yeah,
No, I'm
good
just
stuff.
kidding.
I know, but any what else, guys? Any other kind of burning final thoughts about trades or anything like that?
I think that was pretty good. I mean, I'm excited for the next or the next episodes during the off season because we can really do deep dives. Like we can do like a Lakers deep dive. You know, like it can get
We do Clipper deep dive.
oh, we're definitely doing both those deep dives.
Yeah, we'll do some okay. We'll do some Clipper deep dives. We'll do some Laker deep dives, and then we'll do Lakers ownership. We need theory for that because I know we
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
him on there. But
And projections for the next
yeah,
season and all
I
that.
did
But
see
we
I
got
did
some
see
exciting stuff coming up.
big time exciting stuff.
Absolutely.
What about Harden back to Houston to team up with KD? Something crazy like
No.
no, I won't
Dude,
happen.
you know what though? The thing like Harden is going to get the Clippers like at least 40 wins alone. But that type of basketball, after watching the finals, it's like, dude, that type of isolated basketball is never going to beat a team like the Thunder. They can load up on them because Jokic is like the perfect example of it, where it's everything is run through Jokic, and he's the best to ever do that. And he couldn't even beat that defense. Like you need a chaotic frenzy,
I mean,
fast pace. That's the only way you're going to beat a team like the Thunder.
but if Aaron Gordon is on that team, they might beat the OKC Thunder.
They
I mean,
might have, yeah.
OKC had like a kind of like a Cinderella story in a way. They had that. It was both teams, the Pacers and OKC, to get to where they got to. I think they both had a bit of luck, and I think that's what it takes: health, luck,
Mhm.
and good basketball.
But could you imagine like a 37-year-old Harden going up against Caruso? Dude, it'd be
Amazing.
uh,
Nice. All right,
Uh,
guys.
I think Harden's taking Caruso on a lot of those matchups. I
we'll
think
see.
he's got the moves, dude. I mean, dude, it's James Harden, maybe one of the most
It's too
creative
predictable.
basketball players ever.
That type of isolated defense offense is too predictable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in the modern NBA, what type of basketball wins the ISO stuff versus like team ball movement, defense,
Uh,
running, depth? Yeah, those are the types of things. All right, boys, let's call it for today. We had a great spirited discussion. I'm sure we're going to be back to our text messages and Instagram messages like shortly after this. But Jay, thank you. Chu, thank you.
Thanks,
And
guys.
yeah,
Happy to do it. Good job, guys.
all
Enjoy the
right.
rest of your weekend.
Episode 6 complete.